Hey guys, lepedaler back with another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of my Zwift races that I took part of on May 23rd, a part of the OCA Indoor Race Series. So it's a local race series that's happening right now in Zwift since racing can't happen outside. And since I live in Toronto, Ontario, it is a provincial run event. So we are currently warming up right now, and this is the B category. So if you guys aren't familiar, there's the A categories, which are Elite 1 or Cat 1. And right now I'm racing in Cat 3 or in the B category. Now, if you guys haven't caught it before, last week I actually placed second overall in the race. So I think by the end of this series, I might actually be upgraded to the A category. The wattage that's held during this race is anywhere between 3.2 to 3.9 watts per kilogram. At least it should be. However, the people that usually place top 4, top 5, we all have about 3.9 to 4.1 watts per kilogram. So there's a little bit of fluctuation. If you guys are new to racing and this is the first time that you're watching one of my races or a Zwift race, sit back, relax. I'll do my best to explain what's going on. And I think it's really good to really understand racing because especially on Zwift, competing will just make you dig a little bit deeper and make you an overall stronger cyclist. I hope you guys do like this content as I will be posting it every week. But don't worry, my usual content will be posted as well with some new outdoor stuff. But I find this content to be really fun, especially if you guys do enjoy watching it. I will be producing it. So right now there's 30 seconds to go until the start of the race. And in Zwift racing, this doesn't happen outside on the road since there is a neutral start, meaning everyone goes out of the gates. And then about after 2 kilometers, officially the race starts. Whereas Zwift, since it's all digital and online, everyone's kind of revving up their engines, and as soon as it hits go, everyone throws down the hammer and goes extremely hard, and that's what we're going to see in 4, 3, 2, 1. So you can see right now my wattage is almost 400 watts. 440, and I'm just trying to make sure that I hold on to a front position. That's really important at the beginning of the race. You don't want to lose the draft, meaning you don't want to be in the back of the group just because it becomes harder to move up, especially once the pace picks up. But one thing about this course, I've already raced this course, so I had a pretty good idea, and this course is famous because it has a really punchy climb. Now, funny enough, guys, I find myself to be very suited for punchy climbs. You know, I haven't climbed anything extremely long since I do live in a relatively flat area. You know, I don't live anywhere like Spain or France or Italy. And for that reason, over time, I've just been better at punchy hills since there's a lot of rolling flats in my area. So right now, I'm keeping the wattage pretty high. And you can see that for a category that's supposed to be 3.2 to 3.9 watts per kilogram, right now, everyone in top 30 is pushing 5 watts per kilogram for about 1 minute. So you can see that, you know, it's kind of like a guideline. Now, I do need to say this because I find it very interesting that in the B category, people are pushing such high wattage, especially if at that point you should be moved into the A. So one thing I just want to note is that I find it very interesting in terms of the accuracy. I think the only way we can make this a little bit more serious and a little bit more technical and more fair for everyone is having some form of weigh-in, especially if this is going to be taken seriously by racers. A weigh-in and some form of way to track how tall you are, just to make sure the accuracy in terms of the metrics being in Zwift are accurate. I think that needs to get done because if not, then there will always be that doubt whether or not people are being honest. And if there's doubt, then you really won't feel encouraged or motivated to actually race. Now, I did know that this hill was coming up and I knew how to gauge my effort. It's nothing super steep or super gradient, but it's really important that, you know, you increase the wattage. So right now I'm pushing 5.3 watts per kilogram, which is pretty tough, and everyone's really putting down the pace. So in order to stay at the front, you did have to dig really deep on this hill. And as the race progressed, I found it super challenging because, you know, all out 4.0 watts per kilogram for the whole race, especially on these climbs, we're pushing anywhere between 4.5 to 5 watts per kilogram. It adds up, it gets pretty tough. And like I said, I just find it interesting when we get to the near the end. I will explain what happened on the very last lap. But right now we're at 2%. You can see it pitches. So in outdoor riding, guys, if you guys haven't followed me on Instagram or Strava, feel free to do it. You can see the type of riding and training that I do. But I love rolling flats just because it gets a good break from climbing and then just flats and descending. I do really like that terrain in terms of training. So right now I'm sitting pretty much at the front, which you really don't want to do on the first climb. You really want to conserve. And that's one thing I think, you know, I will give away some tips to my fellow competitors is that you really do want to sit in. You really don't want to have to force yourself to be at the front. Conserve, 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 right? So I'm giving some wisdom is conserve, learn from me and from the racing I've done also outside is it's not the fastest, strongest racer that wins, it's the smartest. So right now there's 4% gradient and you can see that there's going to have pitches. So right now, it's getting pretty twisty. And right now, guys, since the start of the climb, we've been pushing above 4.5 watts per kilogram. So it is tough. This is not just noodling along. This is all out full racing. Now my heart rate's pretty low at this point, 164. Now that's actually high, but it's not as bad as, let's say, 175 as you'll see on the last lap. So right now I'm just trying to keep it really smooth and really consistent. And that's one thing people have to remember. Some people are attacking at the front. I don't understand that with so early on in the race. Very hard to stick. The peloton is very tough, especially in online racing. There's no wind factor and stuff, so I think it's very easy to get brought back, and mentally can be pretty draining to be on the front. But anyways, in terms of climbing, you see how we're rolling now, so it's going downwards, and then we're going to climb again. It's really important that you keep a steady pace, just because you don't want to get burnt out too soon, too fast. So it's really important that you just pace the effort, and that's why I like being around the main group. Now that can be unfortunate if there is a breakaway that goes off, but at least if you're around 5-6 guys, you can gauge your effort based on theirs and accelerate if you need to. Now this is a part of the race that I knew was going to be a challenge for me, especially on the last laps as the tank keeps getting decreased. Right now I'm still pushing 318 watts, so 4.6 watts per kilogram, and it kind of winds up. So you think 4%, you're pushing 4.4 watts per kilogram, 300 watts, you're putting out some good numbers, and you really have to hold this mentally. So I can see up ahead that, the banner's there, but it goes into one more S-bend, and it's getting pretty much strung out at this point. So you have people pushing 4.8 in front of me. I'm pushing 5.7 watts just to make sure that I don't get dropped. So one thing too, guys, if you guys are new to Zwift racing or just riding, especially outside or even in training, you really want to push through the hill. You can relax on the downhill, get the recovery, but the hill is where everyone's going to put the hammer down. It's where everyone's going to put the power down. After you can recover, now you can't really recover and just free spin, right? It's still a race, it's still a training, right? So you have to gauge the recovery in terms of, it's called an active recovery. But right now, this is the challenging part. So I'm trying to close the gap, make sure I don't get dropped, which I'm not, but I'll show you later on in the race, guys. It's really interesting. Like, I'll show you right where I cracked, and I'm so happy I pulled it together because I would have been really disappointed with myself. But right now we're just climbing, and the group is all well together. So 5.6 watts per kilogram, pushing almost 350. The pace is dropping down. So right now too, you can see that I'm at the back of the group. It just told me to close a gap. I don't want to close gaps. I want to be right snug in the pack, ready to go as soon as the descent happens. So right now there, I survived Titan's Grove. I'm pretty sure that's Titan's Grove, KOM. So that's the hill, the famous hill on this race course. And now it is just active recovery downhill. But then again, the speed and the power do pick up. So there's certain portions that you're going to see some little kickers, and you're going to have to climb up in and just make sure that you stay with the pack. So guys, this is probably the most interesting part in terms of power, my fitness, my training. So right now, I know this is make it or break it. There's 8 kilometers left. What am I going to do? Okay, so everyone's pushing pretty big wattage. People are still pushing 5.7 watts per kilogram in B on the very last lap after about 55 kilometers. So very good. And you can see right now I'm pushing 4.4 watts per kilogram, 300 watts, and I'm getting dropped right now. So very interesting. At the front, they're pushing 5.1 watts per kilogram in a B race. So I'm getting dropped almost in terms of being with the lead group. Like, I should be near the front. I should be at least top 5, top 7. And right now I'm struggling just to hold myself. And you can see that I have a feather update. I'm holding that for the peak of the climb. The last section I told you guys to keep aware of, I'm keeping it for that. So right now, I'm going to get, these people are not closing down the gap. I do not want to get dropped. So I have to rev it up to almost 330 watts just to hold the wheel. So the people above me are pushing 4.8 watts per kilogram up the hill. Very interesting stuff, especially in a B race. I'm going to keep saying that because I find it very interesting, especially after all the racing we've been doing. I'm full out, emptying the tank. So right now you can see that if I don't do something, if I don't move up, I will most likely get dropped. So right now, I'm revving it up 5.2 watts per kilogram, and I'm moving up as we speak. So you can see right now, this is the point where I'm going to almost get cracked. My heart rate's at 174, 173, and right here is where I'm going to get cracked. So I wanted you guys to see this. It's not all rainbow and sunshine. So I'm at the very back, very bad position to be in. I put down the power, 354, 5 watts per kilogram, and now I have to close a big gap. So I'm trying my best. I put the featherweight because I was not going to get dropped. And I'm in panic mode right now, but I'm trying to keep it together. 4 watts per kilogram. I'm trying to push 5.2 watts per kilogram. I closed the gap. I'm pretty happy that I'm not going to get dropped. But the guy with the, the draft bonus, he's getting dropped. There's a gap. So I'm closing this gap again. I'm not letting it happen. And this is very scary, guys. If I can just get over this crescent, I should be fine. So I'm just trying my best to reconnect. And I was digging through everything I had in me. This is probably one of the deepest I've been on a bike in a very long time. I'm trying my absolute best right now. 380 watts, 6.0 watts per kilogram, and I'm trying to close it right now. I connected. I'm feeling good, but the thing is, like I said, this is no time to relax because it is not flat. It's gonna be rolling. So right now, I still, how we just came over the hill, I'm still putting down the power because look at the gap that just opened. If I don't close that, who's gonna close that? So right here, I got really lucky. Closing the gap is going to be doable. I'm putting down 356, 5 watts per kilogram just to close the gap downhill. I don't know how accurate that is. But I'm doing my best just to make sure that I don't get dropped in terms of the descent. I was like, if I get dropped right now, I'll be very disappointed. So I'm trying my best right now to reconnect to the group. It sticks. I'm back in the group. And then we will watch the finale in terms of how we lead out. It looks to be a group sprint, group finish. So right now, I'm at the top, with the mix in terms of who's going to win the race. So in terms of positioning, I played my cards, I'd say perfect. I did everything properly in terms of this race, in terms of positioning. Did everything to plan. And now, kind of put your head down and see where you end up on the finish line. So right now, I'm pushing. You see, I'm tired. Like, my power is dropping, and it seems people after all the climbing, right now everyone launches. So 300 meters to go. Sorry, aero boost going on, and I'm pushing 600 watts barely. People are pushing 10 watts per kilogram. I'm pushing 8.5. People are pushing 11, 11.9. So there you have it. That's Zwift Racing. If you guys did like my race analysis or just seeing the races I do, I will continue to make these videos just because I'm racing anyways, and I think it's pretty cool to see the type of riding or racing that I do. Moving forward, I would love to see some weigh-ins just to make sure that the racing is accurate and fair and that majority of riders don't have to second guess whether everyone else is playing by the same rules. It would just eliminate that, and I think the racing would be taken a little bit more serious, and especially if you have yourself being videotaped while you're being weighed in, and visually you can basically kind of correlate if they look what it says it weighs. So I think that'd be a really great solution, and people would just take it more serious, and it would be a lot more enjoyable because then you would know for sure that you're racing against people that are being transparent, such as you are. So that's my only pet peeve with Zwift Racing and race series in general on Zwift. But it's better than nothing, guys. At the end of the day, it is super good training, and with the climate that we have right now around the world, it's better than nothing in terms of racing. Other than that, that about wraps it up. So if you guys did enjoy it, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram and Strava. Links in the description below if you guys do want to stay up to date with the type of riding and training that I do day to day. And other than that, stay tuned for some more cycling content, a diverse amount of cycling content on my channel. And until the next one, keep on pedaling.